how familiar you are with Audrey Hepburn, but in one of her movies, she was mentioning that she was like a cat, a no-name slob. She doesn't belong to anyone, and no one belongs to them. And I feel like that's the same thing with artists. They don't belong to anyone, and no
You're
one
not
belongs
a
to
prisoner
them.
to a chain,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah.
So you get this beautiful opportunity to share your work everywhere and also just have an impact. Because that's another beautiful thing about art is that it has a story. And so individuals can either buy the artist or buy the art and have fun with it. So yeah. Sorry.
Absolutely, that's great. And you just spoke about your experience onboarding someone, and that's going to be a quick transition in a second. But before we go there, you also mentioned that you're an artist yourself. You work as a model. You work as, and a big thing with doing any form of creative endeavor is marketing yourself and developing your brand. And so with building, if some as someone who's trying to, they're creative, they may have some digital talent, maybe they have some physical talent of some kind. How would you recommend that they approach creating a digital identity and a brand in today's modern world?
So there's two different ways you can go about it, right? You can go by a pseudonym name like Squasha, and that'll be your brand, and you can have the separation between you and your art if you want to. Or you could be like Jason, who's real Jason Matias. That's him and his brand. And his brand is surrounded around the idea of comfortable isolation. However, what's been empowering with Web3 is his opportunity to be more creative outside of just Web2. So he can do photography, he can do AI work, he can do whatever his heart desires, but ultimately still sticking true to your vision, I guess. And I think what's also something to keep in mind is with an artist, it's kind of like a woman, where a woman can't decide what she wants to eat, but sometimes, she wants to have Mexican food, sometimes she wants to have Italian food or whichever, but you can have all of those bits and pieces that still is you, right? And so with an artist, don't ever get upset when an artist is going through a time in their life because a lot of times their art is a translation of what they're going through in life. So you've never seen them use red before and all of their work is now red now. Well, I'm sure that probably means something. And you shouldn't get upset when they're not creating the work that you wanted them to create or whatever they were creating before. And also their talents is going to always evolve, right? It's being open-minded to the growth of an individual while also respecting their choice to whether be a brand or be themselves. And a lot of times it's a question to ask yourself, especially this is one of the things that I was thinking about when I want to onboard more people. We think about how many people are on Twitter. Okay, but do we ever talk about maybe an individual wanting to be cognizant of having a Web3 Twitter account and having that separate from their personal account? Because sometimes, as we've seen with other individuals, you said something at once upon a time and someone's going to dig it up and they're not going to like it, or just being able to have that sense of privacy between your life and Web3 life. That's it. It's okay to have that separation, and if you want to be 100% involved in the space like myself, you have my childhood nickname on full blast everywhere I go. It's Allie. You can find that anywhere because I don't really have anything to hide, but at the same time I am very selective in curating what I show on Twitter versus what I show on Facebook, of course. And so when it comes to like the marketing thing, it's asking the platforms what they can provide to you or what you can provide to the platform. And even if it's not 100% what you're expecting, it's still an opportunity to think about. And there's nothing wrong with making mistakes either. I think that's another thing to take into consideration. Like if you mint, like how I did, I minted on Genesis House, and I have work on there that I can't touch because the team is no longer around. So that is an unfortunate thing that I've learned to be mindful of when navigating in the space. Is a platform going to be something that is going to be around for the long run or for a little bit of time, and is it going to be something that I'm okay with losing or gaining? And then Twitter spaces can be terrifying, don't feel pressured to go up into a Twitter space because you have to make money or anything like that. Slow and steady wins the race. So just go with what you feel comfortable with being a part of, and the right people will find you. But if you really, really want to go out there, then absolutely you are going to have to put yourself out there by going to conventions, by going to something that I haven't seen a lot of individuals really doing is going to their local art galleries and asking, do you guys cater to Web3 artists? That's an opportunity to onboard the Web2 people while also staying true to what you do.